What's up, guys? Lightsworn Squire here, bringing you another deck profile. What are you profiling for us today, Jasper?
Crystron's.
Crystron's? And what was your record yesterday?
I went 4-2.
4-2? Alright, let's get into the profile.
Starting off, I have 5 Monarch tokens, which are necessary to keep track of Rosonics effect, which we'll get into later. Alright, into the tuners first. We have 1 Crystron Quan, I run 3 Sea-Tree, and I run 1 Rion. What all of these do is during your opponent's turn, they allow you to summon a monster from either your hand, your grave, or your banish zone to go into a synchro, specifically a machine type. He summons from banish, he summons from grave, and he summons from hand, as mentioned. I run him at 1 and him at 1 because you don't really need to go into your banish zone too often, and it can be cloggy, and I only run 1 of him because you usually only use him for the occasional level 1 to go into your other synchros. Next, I run 1 Parazotl, 3 Thirstburn, 3 Smiger, and 1 Rosonics. Their field effects state that they target a face-up card on your field, and then it specials one of the previously mentioned tuners from your deck. Their banished effects are different, though, and you can only use either the banish or the field effect once per turn. So Parazotl, his effect lets you special a Crystron from hand. Thirstburn lets you add a Crystron from deck to hand. Smiger lets you add a spell or trap card from deck to hand, and Rosonics lets you special summon a token, which is why you need the tokens. I run Crystron Parazotl at 1 because you only really need him to go into Quarren Gandrax plays. I run 3 of Thirstburn because it's your main search card to go into the next card we'll be going into. I run 3 Crystron Smiger in order to search for Impact, which we'll get into later. And then I use 1 Rosonics just to fill it in. There's occasions where you need like a level 4 to go into your higher rank at level synchros. Can't speak today. But that's about it for those. I run only 2 copies of Self-Effeneer. Most people like to run 3, but I run 2 just because you need every ounce of consistency, and you can't send himself. His effect says that you can send a Crystron card from your hand to the grave, and it doesn't matter if he's in hand or grave, you can activate his effect. You special him to your field, and then you immediately pop a card on your side of the field. You would pop himself, because then his second effect, when he's destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special 1 Crystron monster, any of them, from your deck. He's the most powerful Crystron, but also he's easily searched by Thirstburn and or sent to grave by the spell card that we're going to be going into. Alright, as for supporting cards, I run 2 Maxi, because you need to draw every amount that you can. I run 2 Ghost Ogre to get rid of effects, or to get out big monsters that would hinder you. Also, it's a tuner, so there's also that in case you need to normal it. I run the essential variant to Mathematician, 3 Scrap Recycler. It allows you to send any of your machine type monsters, which majority of the deck is, to the graveyard, and that's about it. You'd use it to send Self-Effeneer and then be able to go into your plays. I run 1 Quick Draw Synchron, mainly because of his discard effect. You can discard 1 card from your hand and then you special summon him. He's good for going into Infinity, which I'll get into, and also he can send a Crystron from the grave to go into more like banish plays or things like that. I run 2 Ancient Gear Gadgilotron Dragon, if I'm pronouncing that right. Mainly just because he's a beater. That's the only reason. And I only run 2 because 1 just doesn't seem like enough, and 3 just seems too cloggy. Into the spells. 1 Run Raigeki, destroys all your opponent's monsters, basic staple. 1 Pot of Acquisitiveness, because during mid to late game, you'll have a lot of your banished Crystron cards, so you want to get them back into your deck as soon as possible. Mainly the tuner cards. and you get a free draw. So, I run 1 Foolish to send Self-Fefenir and or any of my other Crystrons to go into combo plays. I run 1 Limited Removal, just basically to get over things and or to go for game if my opponent has an open field. 2 Twin Twisters, because there's a ton of fields cards and or back row that you need to get rid of that can easily hinder this. Basic staple. 3 Gear Town for the Ancient Gear Dragons. It doesn't matter how many of these you have in hand, because even if you have both dragons in grave, this allows you to special one of the dragons from either your hand, deck, or grave. So the only thing is you just want to make sure they don't Twin Twister, or if people still run MST it, because then it'll miss timing. Into the traps, I don't run very many traps. I only run 3 Crystron impacts. This is a card that you would search with Smyger for its banish effect. It allows me to special a banished Crystron monster, and if my opponent controls any monsters, then all their defense becomes 0 for as long as they're on the field. And then it has a second effect for after the turn in which it's sent to grave, to where you can banish it to negate a targeting effect that would target one of my Crystron monsters. Very good and very annoying against a lot of decks. Next up, I run 1 Magical Hats because I found out that you can summon face down 2 of your Gear Towns, and after they're destroyed, then you can summon out 2 Ancient Gear Dragons from hand or deck or grave. So it's really good if you draw into it, because then you can get 3 beaters on the field. I only run 1 because if you run 2 or more, as soon as you have less than 2 Gear Towns in your deck, well then it's kind of pretty much not as good. But you can also use it for like impact to use its grave effect for next turn. Lastly, I run 1 Solemn Warning. I would run Strike if I had it, but Warning is basically the next best thing. Alright, into the extra deck. Starting off, I run 1 Shark Fortress, because in mid to late game and or in the beginning, it could potentially open up like OTKs and or just lets one of your monsters attack again, which is really good in my opinion, especially if you really don't have much to work with. Another XYZ that I run is Nova, which of course you would only use this to go into Infinity. Infinity basically to negate something per turn, and it can suck up cards that are annoying and or have like grave effects or stuff that can't be like destroyed and or, you know, just annoying things. That's all my XYZs though. I only run these 3. Majority of this deck, by the way, is machine type, both in main deck and extra deck, because of the restrictions from the tuners. Speaking of tuners, I run 2 Crystron Quandax. It's a synchro tuner. It does the exact same thing as the Crystron tuners in the main deck, except it doesn't have restrictions. Basically, the Crystron tuners in main deck have restrictions to where if you were to summon them, you can't... Sorry, if you were to synchro summon with them, then you couldn't synchro for anything that's not a machine-type synchro monster. This eliminates that restriction and allows you to go into the other non-machine-type synchro monsters. Also, when he's destroyed by battle or card effect, he is a floater, so you get to special summon one of your non-synchro monsters from your graveyard. Non-Crystron synchro monsters. I can't speak today, I'm sorry. One of your non-synchro Crystron monsters from your graveyard. Next up, I run 2 Crystron Matrix. One because it can also help me go into Infinity, and because its effect states that when it's summoned, it switches all my opponents to defense position, which opens up a good combo with Impact, activate Impact, and then their defense becomes 0, and then switch them all to defense with a Matrix. Also, it is a floater, so if it is destroyed by battle or card effect, I can do the exact same thing, especially a non-synchro Crystron monster from my graveyard. Finally got it that time. Run 1 high-speed Roid Chambara. Basically, you use that with like limited removal if they have an open field for early game, and or just mainly because it's another monster that can attack twice, and it gains 200 every time it battles until it dies. Just a basic card that I thought would do well. Next up is Powered Synchron. This card right here is like a 1 day of peace for you. When it's summoned, it can't be destroyed by battle or card effect the turn that it's summoned, and also on that turn you don't take any damage. Not battle, card effect, nothing.
How many times have you won due to time because of this game?
Well, it depends. If I manage to get this off and we're on like in turns and I'm like turn 2 and then he goes last, I activate this and that basically just guarantees you game if you can make this because he can't do battle damage to you. I recently went up against an opponent yesterday. I managed to deal 7,600 damage to him, but he wouldn't give in. So we ended up going into time, and because of that, I was able to use this to where I wouldn't take any damage, and that ensured me my victory. Then I run 1 Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Because I can get cards off the field, and since this deck really can't make Castell easily due to its lack of level 4s, this is the best thing, and it's good against all the higher level level 5 monsters. Sorry. And then I run its cousin, Black Rose Dragon, basically just nuke the field. I mean, people hardly ever use it for its other plan effect. I run 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. Basically, it's similar to Black Rose, but it only specifically targets like special summon monsters, except for itself. You destroy all special summon monsters on the field, including your own, except for him. And then your opponent would take 500 damage for each of them, which that's good. Like if your opponent has 1,500 life points or so, and you blow up the field, deal 15 for game. It's basically a cheese. Also, you can still attack with him, which means if they have all special summon monsters on their field, like a pendulum summon, you can clear their field and then attack basically for 3k, which probably would be game at that point anyway. So that's why I run him. I run Vermilion Dragon Mech. I just got this here recently. But the reason I just now got him is because I was going to run him before. The reason is because he's a generic level 9, and he is much more easier to make than what I had previously, which was Mistworm. But what he does is I can banish one of my tuner monsters, and then I can target one card on the field and destroy it. So not only does it destroy, but his other effect, which, if it's destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, I can target one of the banished tuners. So basically, it doesn't have to be the one I sent that was banished, but just like any of them, which you'll be banishing, like specifically like with Seatree, and you can summon out Seatree again, and then keep going into more plays. So it's essentially a floater, but you don't specifically have to target any Crystron specifically. Like if you have a tuner that's banished, then you can bring that out and special summon that instead. So I just like this because it pops 1 and it lets you special summon if it's destroyed. A lot of floaters in this deck. I run 1 Crystron Phoenix. Some people don't like to run it. Some people only really like Quarren Gandrax. But I prefer Phoenix because when it's summoned, it allows you to banish all spell and trap cards in your opponent's field and graveyard.
So rest in peace, Paleozoics.
Basically. And it just helps with, like, continuous cards and or those field spells. And it also includes Pendulum, so you also technically are banishing some of their monsters. But, yeah. One more thing to note is this is considerably more difficult to bring out, not a whole lot, but just a little bit more difficult to bring out than Quarren Gandrax because it requires a tuner synchro and a non-tuner synchro monster. So basically, you'll have to use Quandax in order to get him out. And then lastly, for them, I run Quarren Gandrax. He requires 2 tuners and 1 non-tuner monster. And what he does on his summon, you can target up to 3 monsters on your opponent's field or in his graveyard and banish them. So it's really good like against ABCs where they only need like that 1 monster, or if they have A, B, and C in there, you get it out early and then you can banish it. So that's why I use it. That's actually what's really helped me gain the advantage when I was going up against people who run ABCs, because they would have like A, B, and then I would banish it early just as they were getting C to where they couldn't go into their Buster Blader.
Your Buster Blade?
Oh yeah, is
Your
that
Buster,
not the
Buster Dragon?
Oh yeah. I don't know meta. Sorry. Let's just go into the side deck. This is my personal preference for things. People may have their own, reasons for switching out things. But I run 3 Genzo just in case I go up against the lone Paleozoic player, and or like someone runs something that's cheesy, like Chain Burn or Nurse Burn, just burn basically. Not only that, but he's really easy to get out because I can easily get 1 Crystron on the field for a tribute for him. So it's just really good. Also, I side in 3 Lancia. Same for ABCs, just so they can't banish that turn and make my life hell. But also because it also helps against other banishing decks, which I can't think of right now. But there's a few other banishing decks that people might... Yeah, Magnet Warriors. That was Nick. Then I side in 2 Gamma Seal, just because... depending on the deck I go up against, I don't really need them. But if there's that occasional deck that likes to bring out that 1 boss monster that's just like overpowered, then you can easily just Kaiju it, tribute it, and then you can easily switch this to defense, which I don't see why you would, but switch it to defense so that it can attack, and or I don't know, bounce it later on using Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, or it's just some other way of getting rid of it. Mainly just to get rid of the monster so it doesn't bother you. I only have 2 Flying C, but I would definitely side 3 Flying C just to go up against like Zoo and or like any deck that heavily uses XYZ monsters, like let's say Melodious or Burning Abyss. But yeah, basically it's like a mandatory side. And you don't even have to go up against like meta with these. This is just good against any deck that uses preferably a lot of XYZs. So yeah. Then I run 3 in my side deck, 3 Retaliating C, because 1, it allows you to search for your Maxi if it was destroyed, and it as long as it's on the field, cards that are sent to grave are banished. Now that might sound like kind of counterintuitive against this deck, considering you need to banish your cards similar to like ABC, but if you are going up against like ABC and or like other banishing decks, then this is really good because that basically stops them in their tracks. That's why I run it. And then finally, I run 1 extra Pot of Acquisitiveness just in case like they have like basically for siding. Like if they side in like System Down, then at least you can recover some of your Crystrons. That way it's not entirely a losing game. And that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you, Jasper, for your deck profile. This is Lightsworn Squire, signing out.